everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Orange Zeppelin, and today I have a comic review that I'm really excited to share. It took me a little while to get around to finishing the comic, which you will see why in a bit, but it is a comic I'm very excited to share, and it's a comic that I've wanted to read for a long time. So Asterix, this is super famous comic, and I actually really wish I got into this series when I was younger, like when I was in high school, because this is a particular time period that I was super obsessed with for a while. I took 3 years of Latin in high school, actually, and it was this time period of like the Gallic Wars that was super interesting to me. I can see myself bringing this comic into my Latin class, just to the delight of everybody. But as you may notice, this isn't just any ordinary Asterix comic. This is not in English, which, I mean, the comic wasn't originally in English, it was originally in French, but this isn't in French either. This is in Gaelic, or Scottish Gaelic, which is a language I've been learning for over a year now. I'm still not very good at it, which that's why this took me a little while to get through, because I was trying to understand as much as I could, which was kind of just me able to pick individual words out of sentences. But this comic, this is the Gaelic translation of Asterix the Legionary. And so these are all the Gaelic language translations you can get. You can also get Irish, you can get Welsh. That's in Scots, actually. And these are just a very small selection of the languages you can get this comic in. This is actually, as I learned, Asterix is the most widely translated comic series. So if you speak a language, you can totally get an Asterix comic in that language. And one of the things that's really cool about that, one of the things that's really interesting, so for the most part, Asterix and Obelix, their names are the same, I think, through most translations of this series, but pretty much every other character, there's a weird pun going on with their names. So that's something that doesn't always translate well into other languages. The concept of puns sometimes turn into unintelligible hogwash. So there's a lot of characters where their names actually did change between translations. I think our wizard guy here, I think his French name was Panoramix, and then in English he's called Getafix, and then Oamix is his Gallic name, and I think what I'm thinking of with that name, it sounds like Oam, that particular type of that ancient Irish writing system. That's what that's making me think of. I don't know if that's specifically what the reference is. And then this guy, Pongalex, I think he is called Cacophonix in English. So there's like some language specific puns that are happening, and I think that's really cool. But I think probably the most awesome thing about this comic, one of the things I've been told, if you're gonna write a comic, you want your visual storytelling to be strong enough that the story still reads pretty well, even if you just took all of the text away. You can still tell generally what's going on just visually. You're going to lose little subtleties. Like, specifically, there's a lot of wordplay in this comic. I mean, I'm assuming there is, because let's be real, I actually can't read this super well. I do understand a little bit. And there are things that I feel like I have picked up specifically from reading this. So I think this ended up being a really fantastic learning resource, and I will definitely be going back through reading again and looking things up, because for the most part I was just trying to pick little nuggets of the Gaelic I know out from these pages. But you can still tell what is going on just from the pictures alone. And so the visual storytelling is super strong. And actually, where's a good pun example? That right there. So Dogmatics is what that little puppy dog is named in English. Let's see, try not to get too blurry. And his name is Culmashalix in Gaelic. And I didn't know what the pun was, but they pretty much tell you right there. They give you the pun right there. He says Culmashal, which I looked that up, and literally it means at my heel, and I think that's kind of like a command you'd give to a dog, so they made that into his name, and I think that's super clever. But this is just like such a fun comic to read. It is my first time diving into this comic world. I don't remember how long the Asterix series has been going. I think it's been as far as the 1960s. So this is a comic that has been around for a long time. And I know I've heard about it since I was really young, and I just haven't come across it in any comic stores I've been to yet. But I do really want to see what the English translation looks like, because I am curious what some of the other characters' names ended up being. And it might kind of help with understanding the text, because there's a few things, like I know that guy is saying I don't care right there, but there's a few things it's like, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what everybody's talking about here, which is actually very funny and meta, because okay, we've got all these characters who are becoming legionaries, and they're all from different places. This is a Greek dude, this guy from Britannia. These guys are Goths. This is an Egyptian dude. Nobody really knows what everybody's saying. There is a running joke where this dude right here, he's got to act as the translator. So it's kind of a very meta joke that actually oh wait, I gotta point this out. I completely wouldn't have picked up what the joke was if I hadn't looked this up. The Egyptian dude here, he speaks entirely in hieroglyphics. Actually, one of the things they do in this comic, because everybody's speaking a different language, they have the typeface changed just to show that the language has changed. And our Egyptian dude here, he speaks entirely in hieroglyphics. And I was just kind of perplexed on why there was a tennis court and what that meant. That means tennis net. And that's what that character's name is in English. And I would not have picked that up. But, okay, where's our... Okay, what did the Gaul say is what this character is asking. And then this dude, he's got to clarify, once again, well, what did that guy say? And then he's asking, well, what did the other dude say? It's this, that nobody understands anybody, and I'm sitting here barely understanding it also, so that was funny. Actually, one of the things I wanted to mention is how much I like the very large format of this comic. I believe when these were originally published, they were serialized in a magazine, so it would have been, I think, pretty large format. It wouldn't have been super small, but one of the things I like about this format, it's very much like these older Tintin reprints. This is like a nice large print. I can see everything and actually read this, compared to, say, these, actually, when did this come out? This is a somewhat newer Tintin reprint, and this is, let me get nice and close so you can see exactly what my problem is here with these reprints. This is some small ass printing compared to the much cozier less claustrophobic printing, I guess. I mean, I've got a magnifying glass here. We shouldn't have to use our magnifying... Wait. Is this magnifying glass is making things smaller. What the hell? Okay, that's weird. Anyway, I like the large print. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Which actually, now that I'm looking at this, and I'm not sure why I did not actually notice this before. We've got a 19A. There we have a 19B. We've got these little notes on the side. This might have been maybe when this was serialized in the magazine, it was just like strip by strip, because these are like, actually those totally are just individual strips. I'm surprised I didn't notice that. That actually makes sense. So I guess maybe everything might have been printed in these little sections, which having them assembled like this on the page, it looks perfectly cohesive. I've seen some comic reprints. Actually, I should probably do a review on that at some point. I have an X-Men comic reprint where they just did some bananas formatting with this comic. They kind of just put some panels together haphazardly, where this makes perfect sense. This does not look like they were trying to be weird and artsy. This is like, we're gonna make the panels do things that does not make you feel like you're looking at modern art in some way. But yeah, this was just like such a fun comic to look through, and I definitely want to go through with more focus on understanding the text, because I think something like this, a resource like this, is fantastic for learning a new language, because this isn't going to be a crazy complicated kind of text to read. Definitely for a beginner it's going to be really daunting, and I'm definitely still a beginner, but I think things like comics, that is a fantastic resource for getting into. And you can get Tintin in Gaelic also. As I learned, Tintin also has a ton of different translations, and that's actually what I was looking at first. That's what I was originally going to get, and then I saw the Asterix comic and was like, I have never read this comic. I'm going to have to check this out. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I'm super excited and happy to have it. And it's fun to read something new, and it's super fun that I've got this cool new learning resource. And I would someday, this is a big someday, when my Gaelic is a lot better, I think it would be really cool to do comics in Gaelic. I could probably do some very, very simple stuff right now, but to do like a full graphic novel in Gaelic would be awesome. I have a character that I came up with actually back in high school, back when I was infatuated with this time period. The character I came up with, he's more of a Middle Ages time period, and he's like cool Celtic warrior type dude. I think that it would be really cool to have that comic in Gaelic. So that will take a lot of studying, but so far I've had a lot of fun with my studies. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys had fun reading the comic, and let me know if you've read Asterix before, and if you read it in a language maybe other than English or other than French, because that would be really cool to hear. So until next time, keep reading comics.